The living room, where the family meets to discuss issues, any issue which may be bothering one of the family members. That's what we do each and every Tuesday on WAC 90.1 FM with Ricardo Mitchell and DJ Aaron868. We have casual conversations on serious topics, from sports to culture, mental health to economics, relationships to life lessons. Join us each and every Tuesday on WAC 90.1 FM. The Living Room, casual conversations on serious topics.
It is now 6 p.m. here in Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know what time it is where you are, but I'm glad to know you're locked onto the true nation station WACK 90.1 FM, where we are
culture crazy.
First and foremost, let's kick this off as we always do. Must give thanks and praises to the Almighty for granting us the gift of life and seeing another day. No matter what time of day it is, you must always
give thanks.
And secondly, we must say thank you to those that went before us, and we are not just talking about our ancestors, the original inhabitants of Trinidad and Tobago, because we all know, accept, reiterate, and say it with the chest that Columbus lied. But also to our brother in music, Tony Prescott, where the P this week stands for
precipitation, sir. Precipitation.
Yeah, boy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know if the precipitation making up for past times, but the rainy season has started off wet and sweaty.
All right, yeah. It can't be hot and sweaty.
Exactly.
All right.
Pretty rainy season, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, we in the rainy season, which also means that we are in the hurricane season here, not just in Trinidad and Tobago.
Mm-hmm.
But we ask that those of you who are living in areas that are prone to flooding, please take the necessary precautions. And if even you don't live in areas that are prone to flooding, please take precaution, because you never know what could happen. It's 2024, Vienna. Plenty strange things happening.
And word is because of how warm the soil, well, the earth has been, and I don't mean on like outside temperature, I mean like literally, see the warm soil and the heat and the moisture that available that we could possibly be in for a modern active hurricane season.
Yeah. I saw some flooding the other day somewhere I was going on, and it wasn't after no lengthy period of rain, so I really do understand what you were saying there.
Yeah, well, technically, anyway, I never even get into that, but big up Presentation College and the A-level geography classes, because I could safely tell you that because of how the soil has been baked with the heat that we've had for this prolonged period, it is not going to be very receptive to the precipitation to which it is subjected. So we're going to have an increased amount of runoff, even in areas that have not been concretized. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting season.
Mr. Mirage would be proud of you, sir.
Yeah, big up the Dan Mirage, boy. Yeah.
I just wonder whether we weird saying Dan Mirage now, you know, in today's colloquial terms.
Hey, I just hey, also on another note, apparently Prayers reunion was this weekend. Yeah, big up the class of 99 2001. I was going to go, and then I got into a workflow that it would have been very difficult to get out of, and then the weather itself was kind of like, boy, what are you gonna do? Where you go and shelter on the block?
The sixth form block.
Well, yeah, that the only block. No, I was gonna say that the only block I've been. Anyway, let me stay focused. Yeah, I was going to go, and I did not get around to going. I hope that it was well attended. I can understand if it wasn't. I also contributed to that. Aaron, I believe you had some part in the festivities or another over the course of the weekend.
I had a part in the prelude.
The prelude.
Yes, the prelude. So on Friday night, the Presentation College Past Students Association would have hosted a boat ride, for which I was one of the DJs. And so I apologize for missing my radio shift on Friday, as the boat ride was the same time. It was fun. I haven't played like in a party setting for a while, so it was really fun. With that being said, I will be on Thursday night for Richard C. And I'm back on Friday as well. So you'll have me 3 times in 1 week. You'll have a lovely privilege.
Or need to get some garlic, sprinkle some salt around all the radios, etc.
Do I look like a sukuya?
You know what? One of the conversations we should have is to what the modern sukuya looks like. Yeah.
If you don't know the program that you're listening to, this is The Living Room with yours truly, DJ Aaron868. I remind you each and every time that culture is my code, alongside my bro with no fro but a lot of flow.
Ricardo Mitchell, the social stage and the global stage.
And as I said, this is The Living Room, the program where we discuss any and everything under the sun. And sometime later, I have a very interesting question to juxtapose inside today's program. But I want to kick it off because if you don't know, we didn't acknowledge last week. June is Men's Mental Health Month. Right? So one thing I saw Ricardo comment on last week, and he tagged me, was a post from a sweet songstress, Miss Vaughan Bigford, where she would have posed the question to a stranger, how are you? But she wasn't prepared for conversation because, you know, as Trinis, I shouldn't say as Trinis, I should be more general here. As people, we tend to always ask the question, hey, where's the scene? Hey, how you going? What going on, right? But we just ask it from a place of, well, it's the right thing to ask if you see somebody. But very few of us genuinely ask people, how are you? And for Men's Mental Health Month, I want to ask my brothers out there. Next time you see a brethren, I want you to ask him, how are you? And you're not just asking out of pleasantry or out of routine. You are asking because you genuinely want to know and you want to listen to him. And not asking to be able to say, well, boy, you know what's going on with me? No, we're not doing that. Because that how are you could be the difference between a mental breakdown and a piece of clarity.
I hear you. I know how much I agree with you though.
Go ahead, let me hear you.
You see, you're operating under the presumption that the person doing the asking has the capacity to legitimately ask. Now, I wouldn't disagree with you. I would amend your statement by saying that if you are in a position where you could handle a legitimate response, check in, see how someone is doing. Because you know what? You will go and play fast and fresh and all supportive of mental advocacy and ask a question, and when somebody started to unpack on you, next thing you'll find yourself trying to cut the conversation short because you didn't realize it would be all of that.
Valid point.
Or you might realize, you might create a you know what, hey buddy, I'm here for you, and then the next time the person call, you're ducking them. Because, wait boy, God, this man coming to heavy me again. What I'm saying, if you have the capacity, legitimately check in. So the first thing I would prelude or preempt that statement with is, check yourself. How are you? Before you go asking people, how are you? You understand? So now it's like a how are you outside the brackets of the how are you now.
So the first thing you need to ask is, how am I? Before you ask, how are you?
That's what we're talking about. And if you know you're not in a position to ask somebody how they're doing, don't. I have gotten very, very good at, hey, morning, where's the scene, boy? Yeah, cool. Full stop. I'm not even going to colloquially check in if I not in a position to have that conversation with you.
No, but and you added a very interesting point there.
There's a whole point out there,
Oh my gosh. Anyway, the point I don't even know what. But what I was gonna say is, you see, the thing is, because of the colloquial terms which we so frequently use, it's sometimes very difficult to distinguish what is being asked.
True.
So just like how, like say, imagine we have a guest in the living room right now, right? Hey, sitting in with us today is John Doe, and so John, what's he saying, right? What am I asking there?
Yeah.
Because it's open to interpretation by John. If I say, John, how are you? John might have been brought up in a home where how are you is like, well, I did, and I good. But how we ask the question in the living room, we pose it in the terms of, we're not asking was the scene, or was it just physicist? Sorry, was it just therapist, or what's the word hummingbird? We are asking, how are you? So what I would also say, after you ask yourself, how am I? And before you want to ask somebody, how are you? You have to be very clear with what you're asking as well.
Wow,
there must be some level of distinction in the way that you are asking the question. I had to be clear about it, because communication, as we have established here, it is me encoding a message, sending it to you, Ricardo, through very, very many various forms of noise. And noise could be your upbringing. Noise is not just limited to what is happening between the both of you while having the conversation, in terms of like traffic and all these different things. But noise in terms of the upbringing and stuff like that, for Ricardo to decode and then for him to respond. So it has to be something where you both, whoever the two people are that having a conversation, on the same page with the message you're sending. Because your "where's the scene" could be met with a 35-minute dialogue. Sorry, not even dialogue, a 35-minute monologue. When all you wanted to hear was, are they?
Yeah, well, if I ask you where's the scene, the odds are is in passing conversation, maybe sitting down over a beer, or I see you driving past while I'm on my way to purchase doubles, or roti or something along those lines. Like, it's literally, yeah, when I get a chance. I haven't gotten as much chance as I would like to, but I will shortly. So I am very, very precise with my use of language, as precise as I possibly can, without getting to the point where, because of the precision, I am no longer understood. And it has happened, right? Most people don't really appreciate the meanings of the words that they use, or at least the particularity of the word that they're using. So case in point, I could have a full conversation with you, Aaron, where I ask you, how are you? How have you been? How are things? And they are all three different questions. They are all three completely different questions. Because if somebody asks me, hey, so how things going with you? Hey, how have things been? How have you been? Well, how have I been? No, I'm not going to speak as to the state that I am currently in. I'm going to regale you with tales. Is it regale or regale? Anyway, I'll look it up. With tales of what I've been up to over the past 6 months to a year. Right? How am I is not... What?
So long?
Well, yeah, that's how I've been. Right?
So why not 3 to 6 months?
I mean, let me say I have a very interesting life. I might want to give you a whole Lord of the Rings trilogy version, and 3 to 6 months might just be the first movie. Things could be good, and I am not. There have been times in my life where things have been going exceedingly and abundantly well, and I felt like doo-doo. let me put it this way, how things are does not necessarily mean that that's how I am. There have also been times where things have been premium manure and I have been really good. My state of mind does not always reflect my environment, my surroundings, my season, my stage, my conditions, right? So even me asking the question of how are you, I'm asking you a very, very specific question about a very specific time. If I'm asking you how have you been, it's because I want to know if there's anything that you probably haven't unpacked, and I want to give you the opportunity to process that with me now. Right? How are things might be an indicator of, well, you know, is it external the reason that you might be in the state of mind that you are in or not? I ask very, very precisely as to the well-being of people when I do ask them. It's just the way that I am, because I know how challenging it could be when somebody asks you a question that they don't really want to answer to. That teaches you to not respond legitimately when people ask you the next time. And I do like that feeling. So, but I really, really want to applaud, really, I'm sure I could use another phrase instead of really. I am extremely enthused by Vonette's transparency with her post, because she's one of the most transparent people that I've had the pleasure of interacting with social medially. And yeah, I don't even know if that's grammatically correct, but we'll accept it. And to see, big up Simi as well, for the type of transparency that they have, you know, for public figures and increasingly public figures. I believe they have been unsung heroes of mental health advocacy in the ways that they connect with their communities and the way that they converse. I think it encourages their communities to have those types of internal and external conversations. So for her to say, hey, listen, I asked a man how he was going, and when he started to answer, I really didn't know what to do with it. Cool, good. She raised a vital point. You know, there's an opportunity for me to tag you in and be like, bro, hey, we're in Men's Health Month, and look at people navigating men's health. So thanks for that, Bonnet. And on the real, fellas, I know not everybody has been as practiced with communication as I have been. Not everybody has the particular penchant for language the way that I do. But use what you have. Use the tools that you have available to you. Right? We have to take more responsibility for communicating what we're going through, even to ourselves. Right? Yes, we could use terms like we've been socialized to, you know, always respond in anger and those types of things, but we have more than one feeling though. You know, we have more than one feeling. And sometimes when you don't know how you're feeling is, you know, there's a good opportunity to explore as opposed to suppress, and then it express itself in the language that we might have been most practiced in, which can be anger or frustration. So all that to say, Jed, how are you? And how am I before how are you?
You know, inside the living room, both Ricardo and I have our transparent moments. Both Ricardo and I have our moments when we express frustration and anger. Both Ricardo and I have our moments where we allow each other to be vulnerable. So what continues to grind my gears is when I see social media posts by a person saying, I know it's Men's Mental Health Month and nobody's talking about it. Olia, if this was 1998 and everybody was still operating on dial-up internet, I could understand that. But we are in 2024 when everybody, every Paul, Peter, and Augustus has access to the internet.
See, Augustus.
Yes, Augustus. Even Cuthbert has access to the internet. What I'm trying to say is, if you want to have a conversation about something, there's a platform there for you. If you want to put a long form post, you could go on Facebook. If you want to put a short form post, you could go on Twitter. If you want to post a picture, you could go on Instagram. If you want to post something like a video with you talking about it, you could go on TikTok. But there are so many different platforms for us to have a conversation about men's mental health. It should not start with the phrase that it's men's mental health and nobody's talking about it. Maybe it's because you're in the wrong circles. But then again, you want to stay in your close circle of friends and go only in that green circle on Instagram with close friends. Get out of that circle, because there are people, your brethren, who will sit down with you, who want to have the conversations. But you know what? You're close just like this circle here.
A little
you want to live
bottle water cap.
Oh gosh. You want to, it was supposed to represent the close friend circle, right?
Yes, but we also have listeners on 90.1 FM who not tuned in visually.
90.1. Yeah, right. Yeah. My bad. Good point there.
Hey, I mean,
oh gosh, don't say it again, please.
I acknowledge that, Aaron. You brought several things to mind. One of which is that, folks, if you can't necessarily come up with what you're feeling to express it yourself, right? Feel free to share a meme. I mean, it don't have to be the every morning or sending people the hearts, the good morning messages. Good morning and listen. You don't have to. Nah, please right? Don't. You don't have to. And even if you are, there are one or two people who do it, and I know that is a legitimate way for them to check in with the community, because there are times when they don't post it, something is up. But it's not the only thing you could post. You could share stuff to your WhatsApp status. WhatsApp is social media, right? And I will have you know that there are many people who, overwhelmed by the various platforms, only use WhatsApp as their social media. So if I share something to my WhatsApp status, people who I haven't spoken to in weeks or months might jump on and make a comment, and I'd be like, all right, yes, people still use this space too. So share something. It might start a conversation, right? Until you're comfortable coming up with what you feel yourself, you could share something that resonates with you and give yourself a space to lead into in terms of communication. Aaron has always said that the majority of communication is non-verbal, right? Which is why it is important for people to communicate in person, in real time, etc. However, a picture paints 1,000 words, right? Drop a photo, drop a meme, drop something that says, hey, I didn't make it up, but this reflects what I think and what I feel sometimes. And give somebody a space to start working with you. Another thing that came up. Listen, you have favorite clothes, Aaron? Besides this jersey.
Wow.
Yeah, I just turn it out there. What I'm saying is, everybody have clothes that they're most comfortable in, right? When you do laundry, that's the stuff that you'll grab for first out of the pile or pull off first from the hanger, right? We have default settings when it comes to clothes. Sometimes it's because you don't have to iron. Sometimes it's because the only place you can wear it is home, because you ain't want to go out the road in this, but you don't want to throw it away yet because, it's still have wear in it. What happens is that in terms of social media, our spaces can be like that, can be like comfortable clothes. We keep going to the same people, the same posts, the same things because they're comfortable. And we end up creating these homogeneous spaces around us that only reflect that thing or that particular mindset. Another term for it is echo chambers.
And I'm going to say, don't make a timeline into an echo chamber.
Right? You are completely unchallenged or unmotivated by anything different because you keep picking the same old. Right? What that contributes to the algorithm continuing to feed you your comfortable clothes. So if you in spaces where it's only watch and come back and out thing on your gram and on your timeline, it's not because that's all there is out there. You, sir or ma'am, might have to change your diet a little bit.
And I'm glad you bring up the diet, because as we have established here inside the living room, your diet is not just what you eat. Your diet is what you consume.
Correct is
and
right.
by consume, social media is part of your consumption. Here now, and I go and digress a little bit from the mental health aspect thing here, but I still staying with it. As a sports fan, I sometimes browse the various timelines to get news on the various teams I support, right? And
Anaheim Mighty Ducks too.
Of course, I actually have a jersey, a Mighty Ducks jersey.
Well, Aaron, I just saying, I'm not wiling the people as to what your comfortable clothes are, But anyway, go on. This is me actively listening.
Right. So I browse the timeline looking for information on my various sports teams. And recently I had to actually block some team names from coming up on my timeline because of the amount of inaccurate information that passes. And the fact that there's no information to report, but because of the team, they have to continuously report.
Right.
So I took a decision for my peace and my sanity to block that team name, so I wouldn't be bombarded with a bunch of information which is not useful, with a bunch of information which only causes confusion, and with a bunch of information which is not pertinent to a decision that I have to make later on as to if I'm going to continue supporting this team. So the same thing Ricardo saying there, where if you're only full with that, you're going to keep feeding you that. Because the algorithm is the algorithm. And here now, that algorithm, it cut from a different rhythm.
That rhythm on loop.
That, not just on loop, that rhythm didn't make by KMP Studios. It not balanced. It not properly mixed or mastered. It is not good rhythm.
Congratulations, by the way.
What's that?
You went 28 minutes without making reference to Kenny.
Wait.
Hey, you're getting better.
Hey, but actually didn't make reference to Kenny. I made reference to KMP.
All right. So.
And KMP is the company that he's work for.
Yeah, I mean, no place like home, right?
Okay, Tasha. Right. So what I was saying to her is that your social media diet, you need to control it. Just like how they say you need to have a balanced diet with some complex carbs and salad and veggies and protein. Curate your social media consumption with some positivity, something funny, something newsworthy, little bacchanal if you like it, some sports, something spiritual, something financial, whatever is the mix for you. Curate your social media space. So if you ask me, Caro, and I open Twitter now, you'll see some joke come up. You'll see, oh gosh, I blocked Manchester United because they're really frustrating. You'll see West Indies.
You'll also see 2021, because if I'm not mistaken, the name of the company is X now. But
brother man, I am not calling that company X. You'll see some financial tips. You'll see some news.
Yeah.
You'll see a little 1-2 spiritual something. But the catch is, I control what I like. Because there's feed you based on where you like. Or where you save. Well, we want to reach the TikTok where that is based on how your eye open and how your eye close and thing. We want to reach to that. Or you don't want to reach that where in terms of
Lord.
All of a sudden you talk about shoes and next time you open our next app, one set of ad for shoes.
Yeah. We ain't even going that far.
We ain't going that far, but we're just talking about the things that you like, which is on a basic level, the things that they will show you more of. So if you're going on the swipe up app and they keep liking picture girl in bikini, where you think they're going to continue to show you?
Right. And then when you go in your search, all that popping up. You can't look for a restaurant or not. Listen, I don't think.
I searched car rental companies in Tobago last week.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all that coming up for me last week. Yes.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, and the thing too, we talking about men's health and the how are you and that kind of thing, but Jen, we had to take some responsibility for what we're reflecting. Right? We are adults, most of us. We could vote, we could drink, we could drive, we could get employed. The majority of us. I mean, if you have any minors listening to WAC, I would appreciate it if you all hit us a like, a share, subscribe, and leave a comment on DJ Aaron868 page when you're watching this.
And by minors, we mean under the age of 35.
Yeah. All right, bro. So
given the context of WAC listenership, under the age of 35.
True. What I was saying is, we don't have to continue doing what we know. We don't have to continue doing what they show us. We don't have to continue being who we get accustomed to. Right? At the end of the day, you're still blessed, hopefully, with some degree of free will. You still have a say in who you're going to become. All now last year, if I'm not mistaken, right? We took my dad to Tranquility Beauty Spa. Big up Candace. Right? We took him to Tranquility Beauty Spa, and that was the first time in his 85 and a half years that he had ever had a pedicure or gone to a spa. I mean, this man was born in 1937. Right? That generation of men, you ain't gonna convince them fellas to self-care and spa day and all them kind of thing. But in his final year of his life, he still had a new experience. The thing is, we could choose to have new experiences by simply listening to our former music that we might not have otherwise. I personally realize I love classical orchestra and instrumentals. I love jazz, which is why when I catch Desmond Big Band, that's my space. That's my zone. I would not have known that I like that growing up in the 80s and 90s, where it was either rap, dancehall, conscious, and soca, because I was a Black Caribbean youth. It's only now these youths and them have the liberty to be exposed to all of these different environments, because Aaron, we wasn't listening no 9-5 and them kind of thing when we was
Talk for yourself.
You was listening. Well, then again too, you come from the era where it's alright to do them things. That couple of years is a big difference. And just want to point out that now the mix of music and expression that we get, the elders, we know that it wasn't always like that. You kind of had to stay in your lane. It had clubs that you wasn't going to because that wasn't your music and that wasn't your people. Right? Now we could explore. We could get more out of life, but we have to grab it with both hands.
No, you see, the thing is, you see this device here?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, boy. Almost show something I didn't want to show there.
I ain't like to tell you, I was going straight to cyber crimes.
Wow.
Straight to the cyber crimes unit.
Right? But you see that device I just showed here, for those on the airwaves are talking about our cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
We have so much information at our fingertips. I'm going to be transparent here. In growing up, when I started DJing much over years ago, I would because of the what would have been playing on the radio, not what I'm talking about here, right? What my peers would have been listening to. I had to play dancehall. You're playing one or two soca, but you're playing dancehall. Because that's what the people want to hear when they go somewhere to play music. That was when I now started back in, like, let's say, 1999. 2001, 2002, somewhere around there. Right? And, you know, I taken my father's CDs and I burning them. And I go in and play music. And only as I got older and decided, you know what? Let me start to push the envelope. I get exposed to swing music.
Right.
Then I get exposed to some alternative. Then I get exposed to disco and funk. And I have to say, if you don't want to learn, I don't want to sound bad, I'm not criticizing anybody. But if you don't want to learn in this day and age, that is on you.
Yeah. Clap, 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 clap.
That is on you. Because when I start playing pan, that was my first exposure to music outside a choir, because I used to sing in the choir in San Fernando Boys RC. Big up Mr. Pitt.
Yeah, I only get in the choir when I was in prayers. Big up Mr. and Mrs. Lee Martin.
Then I moved on to the choir in prayers. From Form 1 I in choir in prayers. From the junior choir to prayers con to the senior choir.
Yeah.
Then eventually I get exposed to pan down in the hole in Fun Clay. So I was exposed to many different types of music. And outside of that schooling, I would call it, I went and learned more.
Right. You still, despite your surroundings, had to make a choice to go further.
Right?
And your Backstreet Boys and...
Yeah, of course, and my Usher and thing.
Right.
And then eventually, when I reached, I think I was 26 or somewhere around there. I said, Barry, I watch myself in the mirror and I say, I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. Why is it that I am focusing predominantly on music from outside of here? Let me learn more about our culture. Admittedly, it was difficult to find her. You really had to go digging. Because back then, and as I always say it, Calypsonians used to come with CDs.
Right.
And as laptops started not have CD drive, it was difficult to play CDs. And then it only had the live recording of Calypso on YouTube. And then I say, you know what, there's one home for culture, so I say, let me go by WAC. And then my learning became exponential.
So WAC is like Hotel California then?
Okay then.
you go to WAC to look for music and 11 years later you still can't come out?
Wow.
you can check out anytime you want, but you can never leave.
hey, what you say? Anyway, but I hope y'all understood the wildness in that monologue. To understand what it took to reach to this point to have musical knowledge that I have today. It started from a fleeting dream singing Evening Time with Mr. Pitt. To now being able to sit on sit in a radio station and talk to you about that journey that I made.
Right.
And it never stopped when I thought, hey, here we're going on. You could sing tenor and you could sing bass. Nah, let me go and learn the pan. From that is, hey, let me go and learn to DJ. Hey, let me go and learn to play kaiso and soca more. And then it is go places from that. Who would have thought that in a big concert like what it had this weekend in the Savannah, pan would have been the opening act?
Right. Was that Navi Boy?
Yeah, the pan man, yeah.
Yeah. I had to call him Mr. Regrello. I see he graying out his hair and he modeling suit and all kind of thing. And
nah, he was always modeling suits, but he hair that catch my boy.
Yeah, listen, oh my God, what I want is I will wait until we off air to say everything I had to say. Big up you, Jay.
Big
up you, Jay.
No, but really and truly, guys.
My gosh.
I'm not saying push the envelope and everybody go and get a master's, because then we'll be in a situation like what Trinidad and Tobago in now, where everybody overqualified for entry-level position. What I'm saying is push the envelope to the point that you never stop learning. So for the young men out there, talk to your fathers and grandfathers, if they are still there, about things like mental health. Talk to them about their diet. And I'm not, again, we established that diet is not just what you eat. Talk to them about the diet. Teach them that there's more than what just they know. I can't ask for more than that. Teach them that there's more than what they know. And if you do, as Ricardo said earlier, if you don't have the gift of gab, use what you have and spread a message.
Mm-hmm.
Because saying I love you to your father or to your grandfather is probably one of the simplest messages of power you would ever tell them.
You know, I want to take away from the gravitas of the moment, but all I hear in my head is Ajala and Firefly White Horse.
Oh my God!
Yes.
Can you ride? Can you ride? Can you ride the white horse?
And you know why? The haunted melody, right? Well, one you're a little pitchy, you're a little nasal. I was going for it, you know. Yeah, that's the YouTube going down. So I remember as a youth in the 80s listening to this kind of music and Denise Plummer and the only safe sex is marital sex, selling anything else you get vex. There was music that was actually produced to, you know, spread positive messages. This man is saying, hey, all you do get tired of this thing. Remember we had a drug epidemic in the 80s, and a lot of artists dedicated time to telling people don't get tired of this thing, right? There were the music was saying something, right? Coming out of that, it had Kiss Kitty Caravan and thing, and it had different ways that music was positively impacting our culture. Imagine Sizzla and Anthony B had to come and tell Trinidadians, right, to do better with the music. You understand?
But
anyway, that's another point. What I want to say,
savior complex. Anyway, sorry.
What I want to say is that the music tells stories, right? I know for a fact, aside from the Ajalan thing, I remember first time I hear like Mashke Nara, Sergio Garcia and them, and I remember the first time I fall in love with the opening theme song to Kenshi, to Samurai X, right? It had so many different musical moments that was across such a wide spectrum. I remember a young lady in Convent, the first time I started listening to alternative, she had liked a song called Kiss Me by Sixpence None the Richer. And I went and I looked for that because back then I wasn't listening to no MTV. I was listening to BET, big man. Right? And I hear this song and I'm like, wait a minute. What is happening to my feelings? What is the sensation within my chest? Why are my eyes feeling like this? And then No Doubt, Don't Speak. Right? And then I started listening to Red Hot Chili Peppers and all kind of thing. And then I realized, wait now, Second Image and them out here doing thing. Kessa and them had the cover bands. Because we went to prayers, we get to see so much culture mix in this urban castle on this hill, right? We had guys who were wrestlers and rockers, and there were cover bands, and there were actors, and there were calypsonians and soca artists, and you know, all of these different expressions that we got to witness and be a part of. And it kind of helped me explore musically and creatively the spaces that I would later realize it was okay to go into, right? And that shaped so much. I don't think we recognize how much of our lives we deny ourselves by staying confined to the boxes that people build around us. And sometimes we build them ourselves to protect ourselves from some of the experiences we've had. But the same little wall that you build to protect yourself is the wall that is imprisoning you. And you live in your life looking through the bars. And the thing is, it's not like it have a locked gate or anything, you know. We just afraid to move. So, in terms of asking people, how are you? Beautiful question. But I want to encourage you to ask yourself, well, how am I? Am I okay with this? What is stopping me from experiencing more? What is stopping me from trying? What is stopping me from, like, people think that, hey, what is they say, Aaron? The day you stop learning is the day that you begin to die.
Yeah.
But what's stopping you from learning? It has so much you could learn out here. One, we in the information age and a lot of stuff is free. And two, what is learning? You could sit down and listen to TikTok whole day and you could take in rap. Or you could look at somebody who doing something that you never had the courage to do for yourself and share their journey, and maybe it might inspire you to start yours. I mean, it's learning there, living there. We don't have to be as unhappy as we've accepted.
You know, and there's the thing, as people, we have grown to become judgmental. But a lot of us are afraid to cast judgment on ourselves. And when I say cast judgment on ourselves, hold ourselves accountable. And to hold yourself accountable, you have to be self-aware. If you don't know who you are, right? How you'll hold yourself accountable? How you will know what you don't know if you don't know what you don't know? Wait, but that was a real confusing statement.
That is actually pretty simple.
Okay, cool.
Ridiculously simple.
But really and truly,
profound.
If you don't know who you are, how you expect to get better? But to know who you are, you have to look at yourself. As Mystic Prowler said, you have to look beneath the surface. You need to take a look at yourself. Yes, Michael Jackson talked about the man in the mirror. But if you can't look the man in the mirror in the eyes, how you expect to fix the man?
A little help does go along. No, a little help does go a long way. Sometimes you can't see who we can be without a little help.
And that's the next thing. As we talk in help, fellas, there's no shame in asking for help. There's no shame in saying, I don't know. All right? One of the most powerful things I've ever learned in this life is that for you to fix a problem, you have to identify what the problem is.
Facts.
Right? And to identify what the problem is, sometimes you have to say, I don't know. The man who invented the light bulb didn't know what he was doing at the point in time, but he did. Well, I shouldn't say he did, he figured it out. Just like how a man could go up by a mechanic and say, I don't know what's wrong with my car, or I hear this noise and I don't know what it is. You see how easy it is to say, I don't know there? Start to practice it in other facets of your life. It will require you to become gentle with yourself. Because not knowing is a moment of vulnerability. And a lot of men, sometimes myself included, don't like to be vulnerable with ourselves. We don't like to give ourselves the opportunity to show that weakness. But saying you don't know is not a moment of weakness. It's a moment of strength. Saying that I need help is not a moment of weakness. It's a moment of strength. Saying that I can't handle this on my own is not a moment of weakness. It's a moment of strength. Right, fellas?
I also want to acknowledge that we speak from a place of privilege. We're speaking from a place of privilege. Because let me be real. Plenty of the men out here try to have these conversations, try to say these things, and the spaces that they're in, shoot them down, discourage them, belittle them for it. Yeah, I remember too, and I'm not patting myself on the back and I'm not blowing my own horn here. I'm saying that we are atypical. Right? We happen to be two atypical expressions that end up in similar spaces. So we get to create something to help develop this type of conversation. But let me be mindful of the fact that the conversations that we having is not all your brethren you could sit down and have it with. In fact, it's a vast minority. Right? And it's not that men not capable of it, but it is work. It is work, and not everybody in for this all of the time. So I say we're speaking from a place of privilege because we could literally do this all day, all the time. So maybe there's our cross to bear, right? But for the brethren out there who, it's like when you go in gym, when you start off at first, go ahead, you just get some licks, and you don't push the numbers you want to push, you don't look the way that you want to look, but you keep going and you get better. Right? For the people who want to make a very sudden paradigm shift and realize, well, they might have gotten rejected or it didn't work out the way that they wanted to, I want to point out here that if you suddenly turn the lights on, it hurts. You squint, you recoil, you might even get a sharp pang above your eyes, but then you adjust. We don't always have the luxury of, the sun gradually coming up and our eyes adjusting. Sometimes the revelation is a blinding thing and a glare can hurt. So sometimes you want to make a sudden change that illuminates your life, shows you things that you might not have been prepared to see, and it hurts. That does not mean go back into the darkness. And give yourself a chance to course correct. Give yourself a chance to adjust.
Remember, we always say that transition period between the old you and the new you is a real rough period. If we want to normalize men's mental health conversations, we'll go through a rough transition period. You'll go through a transition period where you feel like you're losing friends because they find the conversations always too heavy.
Right. Or boring.
But here what's going on, as you get older, you can't keep having the same conversations that was happening when you was 15.
If at 40, you're talking the same thing you was talking when you was 20. We really do it at 20 years though.
Exactly. So all in all, today you could walk away knowing that before you ask anybody, how are you? First ask yourself, how am I? You could walk away knowing that when you want to curate a space to be able to have conversations which may be difficult, you need to start with the first step. You're not going and curate a space overnight. Start small and grow into the space. Just like how if you want to better your education, you might start with a certificate course and then grow to your master's. Start with a certificate in mental health conversations and grow onto the larger scale, which could be, what could we do to create a safer space for men to have these conversations?
Aaron, I'm glad you said that, because on July the 4th, I'm going to be actually partaking in an event catering specifically for that, for men to have that conversation, something to eat. And Kivo agreed to be on it today. I believe Richard Trumpet is supposed to be a part of it. Dr. Dominic Dos Santos is supposed to be hosting, and it's happening at my favorite cafe, the Fresh Press Factory. So yeah, when I hear people say things like nobody ain't talking about men's mental health, I am in shock, because I am literally in one of 4 speakers, hosts, panelists. I don't know what we're gonna do yet. We're just gonna go into the space and let men sit down and rock the coffee and drink the fresheners and get something to eat, and we'll see what happens.
So come on and ask me.
Well, you're busy. You're busy. You don't have time for more of Cardo projects. You're too busy gallivanting all over the Caribbean with either KMP or JRP. Yeah, you know why you can't say nothing? Because it's true.
I'm actually looking at my calendar right now. July the 4th?
Yeah.
I'm actually free on that day.
Right, so you'll buy a ticket and you'll come.
I'll think about that part.
Yeah, but not only that too, as we're on the topic of consumption, and I think it'll be perilously close.
Yeah.
One of the wisest things I've heard from this man, and this man has said many a wise thing, is that if you date a farmer, you'll never go hungry a day in your life. Happy belated birthday to the Ras Commander. Big up Heart Lion. God bless you. Continue planting seeds of wisdom and fruit. I appreciate you, and I don't think I'll ever be able to adequately express how grateful I am for the role that you've played in my development in media and communications. Thank you, brother. God bless you. Have a great new year. Right. And on that note, I want to say this is Ricardo Mitchell, the social stage on the global stage. Thanking you for joining us in the living room. Remember, guys, the hourglass is opaque. We don't know how much time remains, so whatever you're doing, be good and stay safe. And don't forget, as Aaron so eloquently expressed, before the how are you, ask yourself, how am I? Aaron?
I'm bringing this one back out. Fellas, we gotta get fit. Financially fit, emotionally fit, physically fit, spiritually fit, and emotionally fit. Let we get fit, fellas. Because without fit men in society, we don't have men, that want to do better. Right? Fellas, let me do better. Let me get fit. This is yours truly, DJ Aaron868. I remind you each and every time that culture is my code. And I also tell you that love is the currency, so spend some today. Let somebody know you love them, guys. Keep it locked to the True Nation station. Mr. Desmond is up next with The Big Bang.